Good morning, welcome to Morning Maths. It's day 36. Today all the questions, or all the answers, are going to have something to do with sports hall athletics, which we usually call indoor athletics. It's called indoor athletics. We don't always do it indoors. Sometimes you may have seen me bring out the long jump mat onto the playground. You may have had a go at jumping on that. Sometimes you might have seen me bring out this medicine ball onto the playground. You may have had a go at throwing that. So indoor athletics, we sometimes practice on the playground just because there's a bit more room, and often we practice in the hall. Everything's going to have something to do with sports hall athletics today. Here is a picture of, looks a bit like a county final in athletics. We went to the Essex final this year, and there were actually 14 schools there, so it was a bit bigger than this, but it's a great fun day. And we came second in that this year with the year 6s and 5s who attended that. Even though it was our best team ever, we came second. In the past, we've actually won the Essex final 3 times, but the standard is so high now, every year it gets better. Even our best team ever now could only come second. Because the idea of indoor athletics, which has been around for about 13 or 15 years or something like that, is to make children, give them a better start in athletics, and it's definitely working because we see the difference every year and how much better all the schools are getting. Anyway, we're going to go through the maths, and every answer is going to have something to do with one of these events. They're called field events, even though you don't do them on the field. They're actually the jumping and throwing events. So let's get started. So question 1, how many tens is 590? Well, it's 590 units, but how many tens is it? It's 59 tens. How many tens is 590? It's 59 tens. That's our answer. 59 tens. So our athletics fact for 59 is going to be to do with speed bounce, which is this, where you get 20 seconds to bounce over this as many times as you can, and every landing counts as one bounce. So in 20 seconds, this year, the best that any child achieved was 59. This is for girls. 59 bounces for the girls was the highest amount of bounces in 20 seconds. That's almost 3 bounces a second, achieved by someone in year 6 whose name begins with N. 59 bounces in 20 seconds. So that's our best of the year for speed bounce. 59. Let's go on to question 2. Question 2 is 57 plus 5. Quite a small addition for year 3s now, because you can do bigger numbers than this, I know. But we still have to practice the smaller numbers sometimes. 57 plus 5, make sure you line it up right. 7 plus 5 is 12. 5 plus a little 1 is 6. 62. 62 bounces on the speed bounce is actually our all-time record for girls. The highest anyone in St Helens has ever got in the 13 years we've been keeping records is 62 bounces for girls. On to question 3. Sticking with speed bounce, we'll tell you the boys' scores. On speed bounce next, 436, take away 379. One takeaway. Pause if you need to copy the question. It's quite a difficult one, as there's lots of borrowing or taking, you might call it. Because 6 take away 9 we can't do. Get one from the 3, goes down to a 2. 16 take away 9 is 7. 2 take away 7 we can't do. Get one from the 4, goes down to a 3. 12 take away 7 is 5. 3 take away 3 is 0, which you could put, but you don't actually need it. 57. 57 is the boys' best score on speed bounce this year. It was actually done by a year 5 whose name begins with M. And 57. The girls was 59 this year and the boys 57. Very, very fast bouncing, as you can imagine. Most people when they start get about 30 something. Question 4. 16 times 4. Okay. 16 times 4. I'm going to do this in 2 different ways for you. 16 times 4. So I'm going to do it in the way I did it on the last video first. So I'm going to do 6 times 4. That's what I'm going to do first. 6 times 4. For that, I'll sing my 4s 6 times. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So that's 24. But the question wasn't 6 times 4, it was 16 times 4. So we've also got to do this bit, which is, that's worth 10, isn't it? Because if I put my hats on, units, tens, that's 110. 110 is 10. So we've also got to do 10 times 4. I should be doing this in red, shouldn't I? Because that's the one that was circled in red. 10 times 4. 10 times 4 is pretty easy. I'm sure you know before I even say it. It's 40. So what I've done in purple, I did 6 times 4. That was 24. And in red, I did 10 times 4. Because that's not really a 1, is it? It's a 10. It's 110. 10 times 4 is 40. I've got 24. I've got 40. I'll add those two answers up to get my final answer. 4 and 6, 64. I didn't really need to write plus. You could do, but the answer is 64. 16 times 4 is 64. I did it by splitting up the 16 times 4 into a 6 times 4 and a 10 times 4. That's one way of doing it. Now I'm going to show you what I showed you the other day, which was the grid method for doing this. The grid method for doing 16 times 4. For this, you still split the 16 up into a 10 and a 6. You just do it with this grid. This is called a grid. Some lines, really, make a grid. Split it up into 10 and 6 with these grid lines to separate it. 10 and 6 times 4. I'll put the 4 down here. I'm basically doing the same thing that I did a minute ago. Just looks a bit different. It's just set up a bit differently. Don't need the grid to be that big. It only goes up to there. Maybe a bit more. Right, so here you do 4 times 10. I'll put that in red. That's 40. And in this box, you do 4 times 6, because they line up with each other. 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. Just like before, I've got a 40 and I've got a 24. I add them up at the end. You probably know, of course, it's going to be 64. 40 plus 24 is 64. So I've done this question twice. Both times we've got 64. 64 is actually the boys' all-time speed bounce record. 64 bounces in 20 seconds. That's a very high score. And we're on to question 5. Question 5, 200 divided by 4. 200 divided by 4. First, I'll show you what this question is going to be about. It's going to be about vertical jump. You've seen this, I'm sure, on the wall in the hall. Stuck to the wall in the hall. You have to reach up with your hands as high as you can, and then you set the jump to be in line with your hands when you're reaching up as high as you can. So then you keep the mark of the highest you can reach, and you do a jump. That was the highest you can reach without jumping. Then when you jump, you see how much higher you can get. So this gets measured. How high you can jump above your own height when you're stretching up as high as you can. And you get a score in centimetres. It's called vertical jump, this one. Vertical jump, that means vertical is going up and down. It's called vertical jump because you go up and down, I suppose. Let's have a look at what kind of scores the boys and girls get in vertical jump. All these scores are the school records. So they are usually set by year 6s, almost always set by year 6s when you get to be your biggest and strongest. We're doing 200 divided by 4 here. 200 divided by 4. It's a big number, 200. It's like you're sharing 200 sweets between 4 people. So what I could do is keep taking off 4 or keep jumping on 4 like I did the last time with the number line. Do you remember that? I kept jumping on 4. I'm not going to do it now. You might see why in a minute. You could start at 0 and say, right, I jumped on 4. Jump onto 8. Jump onto 12. And you just keep jumping, don't you? 1 jump, 2 jump, 3 jumps. You go all the way up to 200 and count your jumps. But that's going to take so long to do that, isn't it? It's going to take so long to do 200 divided by 4. So we might use different methods for doing 200 divided by 4. And one method we can use to see how many 4s fit into 200, which is doing 200 divided by 4, we call it the bus stop method. I know most of you year 3s will have had a peep at this because you're probably already doing the year 4 work each day, where a lot of you, where I show you this anyway. So what we do is we put the first number, the 200, inside what we call a bus stop. Looks a bit like a bus stop, not that much. Very simple picture of a bus stop, isn't it? Like a bus shelter, sheltering the 200 from the rain. If it was raining, that's what the bus shelter's for. Shelters are 200 from the rain. So the first number goes inside the bus stop, and what you're dividing by goes outside. 200 divided by 4. Now this is a short, quick, almost cheating method really to do division when you have really big numbers. So you say, how many 4s fit into 2, which is really 200. How many 4s fit into 2? 4 is too big to fit into 2, isn't it? If you only had 2, you can't get 4 out of it. So you put 0, carry the 2. How many 4s in 20? To do this, you just sing your 4s up to 20. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. My finger said 5. How many 4s in 0? 0. The answer is 50. Don't worry if you don't get the bus stop method now. We do look at the bus stop method in year 3, but it's not the most important thing in the world if you don't quite get it by the end of year 3. The most important thing is you know what division is. You know that when you're dividing, you are sharing, or you are seeing how many 4s fit into 200. And how many 4s do fit into 200? It is 50. So the answer to question 5 is 50. So as to our vertical jump record, 50 is the highest girls' score on vertical jump this year. Set by someone beginning with N, the same person who's got the speed bounce record for this year. 50 centimetres above her height she can jump, which is half a metre above her height exactly. And we're on question 6. We'll carry on in year 4 with our vertical jump records, which we're talking about at the moment. 7,000 plus a mystery equals 7,058. The 7,000 is there, but the 58 is missing, isn't it? You can see that the 58 is missing. Is this right then? 7,000 plus 58 is 7,058. Of course it is, so our answer is 58. 58 is the girl's all-time vertical jump record. Many years ago, a girl could jump 58 centimetres above her own height. We'll go on to question 7. Get to the vertical jump record for boys now. Question 7. Decrease 2,917. Decrease means take away. Put the biggest number at the top by 2,858. Decrease 2,917 by 2,858. Okay, this looks like a big question. And 7 take away 8 you can't do. Goes down to a 0. 17 take away 8 is 9. 0 take away 5 you can't do. More borrowing or taking. 10 take away 5 is 5. 8 take away 8 is 0. Oh, 2 take away 2 is 0. 59. Okay, 59. That's the boys' vertical jump record for this year. And actually, amazingly, this year an all-time school record was set. 59 centimetres above his own height is what someone with a name beginning with T set this year. 59 centimetres above his own height, T jumped, and that was an all-time school record. It's very rare to beat a school record in St Helens. Very rare. In fact, this year was a crazy year because we had more school records beaten than ever before. Because we actually had the best team ever. It was such a shame for them they didn't win the Essex Championship, which is of course very, very, very hard to win. There's 500 schools in it. We came second, despite having the best team ever, because that's how good athletics is getting in the country now. Right, question 8. £9.30 times 2. That's what we're doing here. 2 lots of £9.30. So you could do £9.30 plus £9.30. Or you could do 2 times £9.30. Now, when you do decimals with multiplication, which I've not talked to you about in the morning maths before, basically I line it up like this. I do it without the point, lining it up if there is no, as if there's no decimal point. It's cheating a little bit really. Then I put the point in at the end. Because you know how on plus and minus you must always line up the decimal point, and on divide, if you've ever used it, especially with money, which I know year 4 use money, you must always line up the decimal point. But on times, it's a bit different. Times, it's almost, the sign means wrong, doesn't it, in a way, X. It's always saying line it up. It's almost saying line it up incorrectly, which is very strange for me and for many people. But that's just what you have to do. We'll put the decimal point back in at the end. So 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 9 is 18. We had 2 decimal places in the question. 1, 2. So we'll have 2 decimal places in the answer. 1, 2. So it looks like the decimal point lines up. I know it does on this question. That doesn't always happen when you advance with your decimal multiplication. Anyway, £9.30 times 2 is £18.60. In the terms of this question, it was pounds, 1860. For our athletics record, it's not pounds, but it's still 1860, because now we're talking about our javelin record for the year. So our girls' javelin record for this year was 18 metres 60, set by someone beginning with S. That's how far they could throw this foam javelin. Next year they'll be using a much more advanced, probably metal javelin when they get to secondary school. 1860 was our record for the girls this year. And we're on question 9. Divide 100 by 5. Pretty easy for year 4s now, I think, to divide 100 by 5. Divide 100 by 5. 0, carry the 1. How many 5s in 10? 2. It's 20. Because 20 metres is our all-time girls' javelin record. 20 metres. You see some people on the playground throwing these javelins a long way, don't you? Once a girl threw it 20 metres. Many years ago that was, nearly 10 years ago I think. Now we're on question 10. Add 9.20 and 9.30. £9.20 and £9.30. So now it's just plus. Now we can correctly line up the decimal points, because you always line up the decimal points in plus. Money's nice because it always has 2 decimal places. These are called decimal places, how many digits after the point. 9.20 has got 2 decimal places. 9.30 has also got 2 decimal places. And the answer will have 2 decimal places as well. That's what happens with money usually. £9.20 plus £9.30. Just add in, as long as you don't forget the decimal point. £18.50 in this question. £18.50. In terms of athletics, it's not money, it's just £18.50. You probably guess what that is. That's the boys' javelin record for this year, set by someone beginning with C. Actually, just 10 centimetres shorter than the girls' javelin record for this year. So very, very close, the boys and girls at the top this year. £18.50. I should have moved this down earlier, sorry about that. I'll move this to the side now for those fast people. They're probably sitting there waiting for me. They've been sitting there waiting for me to move that down so they can get on with it. We're on question 11. How many hundreds in 2,200? How many hundreds in there? Okay, units, tens, hundreds and thousands. How many hundreds is it? 22 hundreds. 22 hundreds. And the sports hall athletics record for this is that 22 metres, not 22 hundreds, but 22 metres is the boys' all-time record for javelin. 22 metres. Again, that was nearly 10 years ago someone did that. And we're on question 12. 3.98. It doesn't say pounds, does it? Could be money this, but 3.98 more than 3.87. 3.98 more than 3.87. Just a plus. More usually means plus, unless it says how much more, which is a trick question and it's minus. But 398 more than 387, if it was money, is a plus. We do the add in, the carry in. 785. Okay, we're on a new field event for athletics now. It's called chest throw or chest push, where you have to stand still on the floor. You can wave your body about a little bit and push, but you have to stand still on the floor. You have to throw this medicine ball, which is quite heavy for primary school people at 1 kilogram. It's quite heavy. You have to throw it as far as you can. And this year, one of the girls threw it 7 metres and 85 centimetres. Her name begins with A, and she threw the medicine ball 7 metres and 85 centimetres. We're on question 13 next. Question 13 is going to tell us the all-time record for girls' chest throw. So decrease 11 by 2.75. 11 is going to need a decimal point and 2 decimal places so that we can take away this number that has 2 decimal places, 2.75. This will tell us the all-time girls' chest throw record when we do the borrowing or taking. 10 take away 5, 5. 9 take away 7, 2. 0 take away 2, can't do that. 10 take away 2, 8. It's a little bit more than what happened this year, not much, but 8 meters 25 is the all-time girls' record for chest throw. Maybe one of you will beat that one day, but it's not exactly easy to beat. That's another record that stood for many years. So we're on question 14 next. The boys' chest throw. This will be multiply 1.87 by 5, or times 5. 1.87 times 5. That's how we line it up. On multiplication, isn't it? It's a bit different to the other methods. 3 times 5, sorry, what am I talking about? There's no 3 here. 5 times 7 is 35. Well, that's why I was saying 3, isn't it? Because the 3 was in the answer. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 3, 43. 5 times 1, 5, plus 4, 9. 2 decimal places in the question, 2 decimal places in the answer. 935 is actually the boys' record for chest throw this year and all time, because this record was broken this year. 9 meters 35, the furthest anyone has ever thrown the chest throw in this event, and it was set by someone beginning with T again. As any of the athletics team know, this athlete is probably the best we've ever had and has broken a lot of school records this year. It must be the best we've ever had to break the amount of school records that he has this year. So we move on to question 15. So those were the chest throw records, because the boys this year is the same as the all-time. So we move to the next event as we do £7. It's not pounds, is it? Officially, it doesn't say pounds. We do 752 divided by 4. Let's move this a bit. 752 divided by 4. How many 4s in 7? 1. Carry 3. Don't forget the decimal point. How many 4s in 35? That's 8, isn't it? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and 32. That is 8. Remainder 3. And then we have 32. How many 4s in 32 is 8? 1.88. So this is standing long jump. Standing long jump, you have to stand still. You can rock your body, but you have to stand still. So no run up, which means you can't get anything like as much as you could if you had a run up. So you have to stand still and jump as far as you can, and you're measured at the back of your feet. So you have to jump as far as you can in just one jump with no run up. That's called standing long jump. Different to, of course, a running long jump, standing long jump. So the best of the girls in the whole school this year was able to jump 188. A girl beginning with O jumped 188. That was this year's standing long jump record. Question 16. 211 divided by 100. Okay, this is moving method. 211, I'm going to divide it by 100. I'll just note that down. This is just my little method for this. I just do it, for some reason I like doing a circle around the divider by 100. I'm going to move it 2 places smaller because I'm dividing by 100. It doesn't have a decimal point, so I'm going to place one at the end. Line one up underneath. Move everything 2 places smaller. 1, 2. This one, 1, 2. And this one, 1, 2. 211, 2.11. In athletics, we say 211 because the girls' all-time record in standing long jump is 2 meters and 11 centimeters. Now, a lot of you know what 2 meters is. After recent events, you've got very used to what 2 meters is. Well, there has been a girl in our school once, a few years ago, who could jump over 2 meters, 2 meters and 11 centimeters in just one jump. On to question 17. We'll get the boys' records. Question 17. Increase 1.5 by 0.82. 1.5 and 0.82. Line up the decimal point, of course, in plus. Some people like to place this extra 0 here. You could, or you don't have to. 2. Is the answer 232? No, because we need a decimal point. It's 2.32. And that is the boys' long jump, standing long jump record this year, 2 meters and 32 centimeters. That is another school record that went this year to the boy beginning with T. He knows who he is, and I'm sure lots of his team do as well. 2 meters 32 centimeters is a really, really big standing long jump. I can't even do that. 2 meters 32, that's a long, long way. Amazing record set this year on standing long jump. And we go on to question 18. £10 take away £4.30. 10.00 take away 4.30 minus, so line up the decimal point. I predict it's going to be £5.70, but I will check using the column method. Pretty sure it's going to be 570. 9 take away 4 is 5. 570. So you've got to double check if you can do it in your head. Do it on paper as well and you have a double check. £5.70 is this mathematical answer. The athletics record this time, I've got to talk about a new event called triple jump, or standing triple jump. Standing triple jump is the most complex event. Takes quite a bit of practice to get used to this. Most people do struggle when they first do this. It's called a standing triple jump, which is a hop step jump. So he has a grey or dark black trainer really. He's got a black trainer and a white trainer, we'll say. So from his black trainer he has to hop to the same foot. So that's called a hop. Then he'll step to his other foot, his white trainer. So he'll step to his white trainer. And then he'll jump to both feet at the end. Both feet at the end. So it's hop to the same foot, step to a different foot, jump to the end. You have to do that as fast as you can and with really big strides. You don't get to have a run up, so it's very difficult. You might be amazed to hear that a girl in year 6 whose name begins with N was able to jump 5 meters 70, literally touching the floor just twice in between that, touching the floor there and there, able to travel 5 meters 70 just from a standing triple jump. If they had a run up, they'd be able to go even further. But indoors we use, because there's limited space indoors, we use standing triple jump, so no run up. So the girls' record this year was 570. Let's find out the girls' all-time record. 38.04, shared between 6, which of course means divide by 6. We'll use the bus stop for a large number like this. 0 carried a 3. 6 remained a 2. 3 remainder 2, and 6 is into 24, 6 and 12, 18 and 24 is 4. Sometimes I have a mental block with my times tables, so I just do the song. 6 and 12, 18 and 24, that's right. 6.34. That amazingly is a girl's all-time record for triple jump. A girl, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, from 2020 when I'm making this video, was able to jump 6 meters 34 centimeters, just touching the ground twice within that time. And finally, question 20. This is the boys' triple jump. The record has been smashed this year. As I keep saying, we actually have had our best team ever this year. So sad for them really that they didn't win the Essex Championship, but that's just because one other school is just so unbelievable. So I'm happy for them that they won really, to be as good as they are. But our team was unbelievable. We have had someone beat this triple jump record for boys, but the weird thing is we've actually had 2 people beat the old record. 2 people passed the old record. Shows the quality of our team this year. 6.88 was the highest jump of the year, set by the boy whose name begins with T again, who smashed a lot of school records this year. But someone beginning with S, he also beat the old school record. So amazing jumping this year. 6 meters 88, and we don't count any records after the Easter holidays anyway. Every year we always stop at Easter holidays with sports or athletics, and then we go to outdoor athletics. So you have to beat these records before Easter. I think there's a very good chance this boy could now jump over 7 metres, which is just unbelievable. But there's our sports hall athletics records. I hope some of you enjoyed that, especially those of you who've had a go in year 3 and 4 outside on the playground. You've had a little go at some of these events, and especially athletics team who went to Southend this year for the final, for the Essex final. So here are all our answers, and it tells you all the school records. If you're watching this video in the future after 2020, I'm sure some of these will change. Certainly this year records will all change, because this is just this year from 2019 to 2020. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you again next time.